In October 2022, I made the 14-hour drive down to Nevada from British Columbia, Canada, to pick up 2 wild Mustangs. My plan was to gentle them using positive reinforcement while allowing them free range of an approximately 4-acre pasture. The reason why I wanted to do this was to allow them choice in how they got to interact with people, in addition to challenging myself as a trainer and equine behavior consultant. I wanted to allow them as much liberty and freedom as possible so that I could make introducing people to them a very positive experience. Wild Mustangs can be subjected to a lot of trauma when they are rounded up from the wild. They may have family bonds broken as they get put in different corral systems, and it's also a very scary experience for a wild Mustang to be sorted into a pen and then loaded on a trailer and then live in a corral where they are waiting to be adopted.
Very cute. The chestnut's kind of nicer than I thought she was.
As a Canadian, I can only adopt the last strike horses, meaning that they have gone through an auction 3 times and haven't been purchased. What this means is they've generally spent a lot of time in the corrals waiting to be adopted. Both of these girls were in the corrals for at least 2 years. Juniper, the chestnut, was in the corral system for 1.5 years, and Mesa was in the corral for almost 3 years since being captured. When they are in the corrals, they are moved around by a chute system out of necessity because they are unhandled wild horses. What this means, though, is that they often learn that when a person approaches, it means to move away. Out of convenience for the people handling them, they need to move away from people because it makes it easy to direct them through the chutes for necessary farrier and vet care. This tends to make them quite skittish of people though, so when we were first trying to introduce them to people, we spent a lot of time just sitting still and allowing their curiosity to bring them towards us. Initially, they wouldn't accept any treats or anything other than hay and grass, and they also were super uncomfortable with taking food from the hands of a person because they were nervous of us. However, they were extremely curious, so they would often approach to check us out, but then would quickly retreat if we stood up or moved too suddenly. Because so much of their life had been uprooted by people and taken from them without their choice, I wanted to give them as much choice as possible in the process of gentling them. Giving them as much space as I did meant that they had the express choice to walk up to me and hang out with me. If I scared them and they didn't want to be around me, they could easily leave and get a lot of space from me.
They walk like they're like a squad.
It did make things more difficult for me as a trainer though, because if I moved too quickly and scared them one day, they would be way more skittish of me the following day. So I had to be very careful and meticulous about the way that I handled them so I could gradually shape their comfort around people in a positive way. Mesa, the bay, had some vision loss in her left eye, and she was much more skittish of people than Juniper, the chestnut. This meant that we had to take it a lot slower with her because she was more skittish of people touching her. Even if she was brave to approach people and was brave in other ways, she was very uncomfortable with being handled by people and definitely was going to take more time than Juniper. Starting out, both girls had a pretty short threshold of how long they were willing to stay near me, and also if I moved suddenly or sneezed or did anything surprising to them, they would take off and run away. They would lose interest in me pretty quickly if there was other food that they could have that was in a less scary location because they weren't super comfortable with my presence.
Can I boop you yet? She let me boop her. If you want to back out, that's totally fine. Okay, I'm gonna go out. Good, that didn't scare them too much. Just kidding. That was not what I wanted, but that's okay.
One of the things that I loved about giving them so much space to roam is that it allowed them the space to run and play in ways that they might not be able to in smaller areas, and it made for an easier adjustment to captivity. I definitely wouldn't say that they like being petted. They definitely don't like it yet. It's not enjoyable for them. I was willing to earn their trust slowly because I wanted to make sure that they actually enjoyed their interactions with me, including being touched. Using positive reinforcement to teach them things like the hand target was crucial in eventually being able to take off their tags. Since they had so much space to run and get away from me if I scared them, I had to be really careful about making every interaction I had with them positive and fun so that they had incentive to want to hang out with me again. If I had done this in an aversive manner and been forceful with them on this amount of space, they very quickly would have learned to just avoid me because I would have made them feel bad. Having our interactions bring them mostly pleasant feelings was absolutely crucial in building their trust because then they started to associate my presence with pleasant things.
Okay, ladies.
Teaching them things like target training allowed me to move them around the field without a halter and lead. They would follow me willingly and follow the target due to a learned history of being rewarded for doing so. It would also prime behaviors that would make them very easy to catch and halter in the future because they had such a positive experience with it, and they started to enjoy it when they saw the halter because they could put their nose through the halter and get a reward. As they learned how to do these behaviors reliably, though, I could extend the duration between reward.
Sorry, that was a sneeze. I sneezed.
Most of the training I did with them was done at liberty because I could handle them just as well without a halter on as I could with a halter on, and in fact, I found they were often more comfortable with this.
Hi, girls. You're waiting for me? Oh my god!
Even as I built trust with them, getting them used to me touching them all over their bodies was a process because initially the touch was very aversive, so I had to counter condition them using positive reinforcement, aka food rewards in this case, because touch wasn't pleasant for them. Juniper was the first to start to enjoy being scratched and groomed by people.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Stop touching. Please, she's aware of how to get back out and doesn't get...
Look at her, she's not even freaking.
Wow.
Well, that is...
Woo! She's like, I did it!
I took it slow getting them used to confinement because I figured they probably had a bad association with corrals due to being herded into corrals when they were captured, as well as at the corral system after they were captured by the BLM. And I started this out just by feeding them in the corral and getting them comfortable standing in the corral with the gate open, and then gradually extending the time they spent in there.
They don't even have a guard standing up. You guys must feel really, really safe.
As flight animals, horses are well aware of the fact that their legs are absolutely crucial for survival. So getting the Mustangs comfortable lifting their legs up to have hoof care was a process that took a lot of little steps. Mesa was especially nervous of having her legs handled, so what I would do is teach her to lift her leg by a vocal cue, and then after I picked it up for a short time, I would back away and allow her to approach me and reconnect to show that she was ready to resume training. What this did is it allowed her more control over the training process and helped to reduce her anxiety. Juniper seemed to have a lot less trauma than Mesa, so she was much easier to get comfortable with her feet being handled, and she could move at a different pace.
Hi, girls.
With their training, I figured that if they could have their feet handled without a halter on them and when they could technically move away from me, then they would be able to have their feet handled with a halter in the future very easily. It would just take more time initially to get them comfortable with it since I couldn't force them to stand in one position. Eventually, I wanted to move them to my house to live with the rest of my horses, so I had to condition them to the horse trailer so that they could load safely at liberty and also build enough duration in the horse trailer that they wouldn't panic once in it. I had not loaded since I initially brought them home, and that was a very stressful experience for them where they were loaded by force.
You're so smart.
Since their experience with trailering was probably quite traumatic, I wanted to keep working with them on it until they were very comfortable staying inside the trailer and having food before I moved them. Eventually, though, I could bring them home.
Meeting the boys. Junie's figured it out. Oh yeah.
They settled into their new home very nicely, and they also got exposed to way more different types of people, which helped get them comfortable around strangers, something they struggled with before.
This is Junus B. Crazy wild Mustang. Good girl.
Part of the reason I waited so long to bring them home was that the field they would be in was almost double the size as the one that I was working with them in, so I wanted to make sure that I really had a good relationship with them so that I could catch and handle them quite easily.
It's so close. Yes! This is the first time she's let me get this close to her. Laying down. How special is that? Yes. Look at us. She's so cute.
Oh gosh, the lighting is beautiful.
Everything I've introduced to these horses has been at liberty. This allows me to get a really good sense of what they are actually comfortable with because they have the choice to leave, and it has helped build trust between us so much more than what I would have been able to do if they had felt more trapped and forced in this situation. Training them has been much safer for me and much lower stress for them than it would have been if I had made them feel forced and afraid in situations. A lot of the videos that we see online of horses completely freaking out and engaging in dangerous behaviors are like that because the horse is stressed and trying to escape a scary situation. While sometimes mistakes happen, it is my goal in training to not have these situations occur frequently or at all because it is an unpleasant and scary state of mind for the horse, and it's also dangerous for myself. So I try to make first intros to things like saddling as low-key and boring and low stress as this session with Juniper was.
She likes the chin scratch. Carry on. Let me check it out. She's scratching. Hi, I'm watching you, I know. Hello. Are you itching? Hi. You're just itching. Oh, you have a dreadlock. Lick and bite my hand. Oh, thank you. That's so kind. Pogo. She likes scratches now, finally. She used to just tolerate them, but now she likes them.
Mesa I've taken things slower with because that's what she needed. I haven't introduced things like saddling to her yet because she needed more time to get used to everything else and just enjoying the presence of people and starting to enjoy things like grooming. I'm going to introduce saddling to her in the new year and start getting her ready to ride along with Juniper, but she needed more time, so we're taking that time to make it a pleasant experience.
So yeah, the update on the Mustangs is they are my friends now. they're my friends, and next year we'll teach them cool things that people value more than friendship with horses. But this is honestly all I was after, because there's no pride in being able to ride them and sit on them if they're just tolerating my presence. And honestly, this is so much more rewarding, because then it can just be a process of like actually having her be connected with people rather than just like allowing people to do things to her, which if I'd rushed into it, that's exactly what it would have been, is she'd just be allowing people to do things to her, which is kind of sad. Come on, Judas! She's like doing a collected canter.
She's the last one to show up.
Come on, June! Good job. Good job. Careful. Milo, you should not do that in the slippery mud. Wow. Good job, guys. Juniper, you're a queen.